The twin suns of Drora bled crimson across obsidian towers that pierced the violet sky like shattered bones. Their dying light refracted through crystalline spires, scattering fractured rainbows across the grand arena below. Gravity warped unnaturally in this place. Spectators hovered inches above their seats, secured by magnetic harnesses, while the air carried the sharp tang of copper and ozone. Alien pheromones, spice and metallic, clung to every inhale. The arena's walls curved upward like the ribcage of a colossal predator, translucent and pulsing with bioluminescent veins that glowed in rhythmic patterns. Thousands had gathered, not for sport, but to witness something die. In the pit center, a dragon cub no larger than an earth elephant thrashed against chains forged from condensed starlight. Its scales shimmered with living galaxies, miniature nebulae where stars winked out in slow-motion death beneath translucent armor. Blood the color of liquid mercury pooled beneath its claws, hissing faintly where it touched the pit's durasteel floor. The cub's wings beat uselessly, membranes torn and ragged from the chain's bite. Its screams were not roars, but the raw sound of tearing metal and shattering glass, echoing to the crystalline walls and vibrating the bones of every observer. The frequency bypassed ears entirely, drilling into the limbic system like a psychic spike. Tier upon tier of alien nobility watched with predatory hunger. Scaled faces with slitted pupils, feathered crests that shifted colors with emotion, beings of pure energy flickering in containment fields, all placing bets with jewel claws, forked tongues, and telepathic pulses. The 17th challenger approached, announced by the herald's voice that resonated through bone conduction implants embedded in every skull. Velcro's the Breaker, champion of the northern wastes. A massive reptilian warrior strode into the pit. His hide was natural armor plating, scarred and regrown from countless battles, each plate etched with ritual markings. He carried a neural staff crackling with disruptors, devices engineered to force submission through waves of engineered agony. The first pulse struck the dragon cub like invisible lightning. Its spine arched impossibly, mouth gaping in soundless torment. The ozone scent sharpened, mingling with the coppery blood. In the royal box, King Therion lounged upon a throne carved from the vertebrae of conquered space leviathans. His skin was the deep gray of storm clouds, eyes burning like red coals behind a crown of twisted black metal forged from neutron star remnants. Beside him sat Princess Zaraketh, her skin a vibrant green like new leaves, smooth where her father's was rough and cracked, her eyes reflecting infinite starfields instead of fire. Golden chains draped her shoulders, marking her as the ultimate prize. Every warrior who entered the pit fought to claim her hand, her throne, her future lineage. "Father, please," she whispered, her voice trembling like a plucked harp string. "It's just a child. Look at it. Look at its eyes." "It is a weapon," Therion rumbled, his voice low and resonant, like tectonic plates grinding deep beneath the planet's crust. "Whoever breaks it proves worthy of you, of the Empire, of dominion over the stars." At the pit's edge, in Maintenance Access Tunnel 3, a human watched to the grated floor. Cole Brennan, 36 years old, lean muscle forged from years of wrench work in zero-gravity conduits, skin weathered by radiation leaks and plasma burns, beard trimmed close to regulation length. His coveralls were stiff with hydraulic fluid stains, coolant residue, and the faint scent of ozone from arc welders. Scarred hands gripped the tunnel's edge until his knuckles blanched white. He'd been repairing gravity stabilizers for 16 consecutive hours, crawling through cramped Jeffries tubes, recalibrating inertial dampeners, ignoring the ache in his lower back and the burn in his eyes from sleep deprivation. His stomach growled from skipped meals. The human quarter synthetic rations waited in his locker. He should have clocked out, stumbled to his bunk, drowned a day in cheap synthetic whiskey until the screams faded. But he'd heard the dragon cub screaming. Something in that sound pierced durasteel plating in years of cultivated indifference to seize his heart in a vice. 3 years ago, his colony world New Corinth had burned. Dreran raiders descended without warning, glassing the surface with plasma lances. Cole had been in the evacuation tunnels, carrying children through corridors of fire, holding pressure seals closed with his bare, burning hands while shuttles launched. He'd saved 23 lives, lost 412. The faces of the ones he couldn't reach, wide-eyed, soot-streaked, reaching, haunted him in the dark between shifts. He'd stopped feeling after that. Numbness was safer than grief. Velcro's activated his staff again. The dragon cub convulsed, wings spasming, mercury blood splattering the pit floor in silver arcs. Cole's jaw clenched so hard his teeth creaked. He thought about the children he hadn't saved, about how you can't fix the past, can't unburn a world, can't unhear final screams. But maybe, just maybe, you get one chance to do better right now. He dropped through the maintenance grate. The fall was only 6 feet, but it stretched into eternity. His boots hit the pit floor with a metallic clang that echoed like a gunshot in the sudden hush. Every eye turned to him. Thousands of alien gazes, some curious, some amused, most contemptuous, focus on one scarred human holding nothing but a standard-issue pipe wrench. Who dares interrupt the trial of Dominion? King Therion's voice was deceptively quiet, a velvet blade that made the air itself feel heavier. Cole didn't look at the king. He looked at the dragon cub, at its bleeding feet, its terror-bright eyes flecked with dying stars. Something long broken in his chest cracked open and remembered how to feel. The hall erupted in laughter at the foolish human. But the dragon cub's eyes locked onto Cole's face with an intensity that silenced the ancient blood readers scattered through the crowd. Their psychic probes recoiled as if burned, sensing something ancient and unforeseen. Cole stood in the center with the weight of an empire's contempt pressing down like artificial gravity, cranked to crushing levels. The dragon had stopped trembling. It watched him with eyes that held swirling nebulae. Velcro's turned slowly, staff humming. A human? Did maintenance lose a pet? The crowd's laughter cascaded like breaking glass. Cole's supervisor hissed through his comlink. "Brennan, get out of there. You'll be flayed alive in the public squares." Cole ripped the earpiece out, let it fall. The clatter was swallowed by the arena's roar. You dare enter the trial uninvited. Therion descended from his box via gravity lift, each step shuddering the pit floor. You dare touch what is sacred to crown. I dare to stop watching something innocent suffer, Cole said quietly. His voice somehow carried through the arena's acoustic design, amplified by crystalline resonators. Silence fell like a hammer blow. Princess Zareketha's breath caught audibly. In 3 days of brutal trials, not one champion had called the dragon a child. None had dared the word innocent. Therion's smile was terrible, all teeth and no warmth. That creature is a dragon of the void, spawn of stellar serpents who burned 14 worlds to ash. You think you can stand where champions have failed. I know what fear looks like, Cole said, meeting those burning eyes. And I know nobody should have performed their own breaking for entertainment. Velcro's raised his neural staff, disruptors charging with a rising whine. I'll remove this interruption myself. Wait! Therion halted 10 feet from Cole, close enough for Cole to smell the king's scent. Ozone and ancient spice. You speak of mercy, human. Yet you are one of the conquered. What right have you to challenge 10,000 years of tradition? Being strong doesn't make cruelty entertainment, Cole replied. It just makes it cruelty with an audience. Therion studied him for a long moment, head tilted like a predator assessing prey. Then his smile widened, genuine this time. Foolish courage, but courage nonetheless. I offer you this, human mechanic, a wager. Calm the dragon cub. Do what 17 champions could not. Succeed, and I grant any single request within my power. Wealth beyond your dreams. Rank among the nobility. Freedom for the entire human quarter. Anything. The crowd inhaled as one organism. And when you fail, Therion continued, voice dropping to a whisper that somehow filled the arena, you will be executed slowly, publicly, over days. Every human in my service will watch via neural feed, so they remember the price of overstepping their place. Cole looked again at the dragon cub's bleeding feet, its exhausted eyes dimming with each passing second. What happens to the dragon if I fail? Velcro's completes the trial. The dragon is broken, reforged into a weapon for the Empire. And if I succeed, then perhaps I have underestimated your species entirely. Cole thought about the children he hadn't saved, about the weight of failure that had hollowed him out for 3 years, about second chances that came disguised as impossible odds. I accept. Therion clapped his hands once, a sound like thunder cracking the sky. Then let us bear witness. The human has until the twin suns set behind the black spire. Begin. Cole took his first step forward. No one believed he would even try to succeed, but the silence that followed his first word to the dragon spread across the chamber like a gathering storm. He knelt 10 feet from the cub, setting down his wrench with deliberate care. From his pocket, he pulled a rag stained with engine grease and hydraulic fluid, holding it between himself and the dragon like a white flag. "Hey there," he said softly, voice pitched low and steady, the tone he'd once used with terrified animals in xenovet clinics. "I know you're scared. I know it hurts. But I'm not here to hurt you more." The dragon's nostrils flared, sending the air grease-human sweat, faint traces of colony smoke that still clung to Cole's skin. Someone shouted an insult from the crowd. Cole ignored it. He'd spent 5 years in xenoveterinary support before New Corinth fell, worked with everything from 6-legged grazers on agri-worlds to sentient cephalopods in ocean domes. Humans had built relationships with animals for 10,000 years across Earth's history. It was about trust. And trust started with making yourself vulnerable. "I'm going to move closer," Cole continued. "You can burn me if you want. I hope you won't." He slid forward on his knees, inch by inch. The dragon's muscles tensed like coiled springs, its mouth opening to reveal teeth like curved daggers forged from obsidian. Then it closed its mouth. It was watching Cole's hands, scarred, burned, moving with the careful precision of someone who'd rebuilt engines in zero-G with nothing but a multi-tool and hope. "Those chains are too tight," Cole said. "They're cutting into you. I can see the stellar frost burns on your scales, where the starlight chains leach heat from your blood." He looked up at Therian, meeting those Cole eyes without flinching. "Why would you make the chains hurt like that? If the point is dominance, pain just creates fear. Fear creates aggression. You're not testing who can tame a dragon. You're testing who can survive breaking a terrified child." The silence was absolute, so complete Cole could hear his own heartbeat. "The chains teach strength," Therian said finally, though his voice held a note of uncertainty for the first time. "They teach that the world is cruel and safety is a lie," Cole countered. "Which might be true in your empire, but it doesn't create loyalty. It creates a weapon that'll turn on you the moment it's strong enough to bite the hand that broke it." He turned back to the cub. "But you're not a weapon, are you? You're just scared. You don't know where your parent is. You don't know why everything hurts. Why the stars in your scales are dying one by one." The dragon's trembling slowed, almost imperceptibly. "I know that feeling," Cole whispered. "I know what it's like when everyone expects you to be strong, to be hard, to be a thing instead of a person." He held up his hands, palms open, showing the scars in the harsh arena light. "I got most of these trying to save people during the colony fires on New Corinth. This burn here, from pulling a kid out of a crash shuttle, her hair on fire, screaming for her mom. This one from holding a pressure seal closed with my bare hands while the last evacuation shuttle launched. I held it for 90 seconds. Everyone got out. The seal ruptured right after." He lowered his hands slowly. "I failed anyway. Lost the colony. Lost most of the people. And I stopped caring because feeling hurt too much. But then I heard you screaming. And I remembered that not caring doesn't make you strong. It just makes you hollow inside, like a burned-out reactor core." He extended the rag. "If you let me, I'd like to wrap your feet. Stop the bleeding. Just that." Velcros laughed, a barking sound. "It's a dragon, you fool. It doesn't understand." The dragon cub placed its right front foot in Cole's hand. The arena exploded in shocked murmurs that rippled upward to the tiers like a wave. Princess Xerxes stood, hands pressed against a railing, her golden chains clinking softly. Cole worked with careful precision, the way he'd once reassembled a plasma manifold under fire. The dragon scales were warm to the touch, not hot, but alive with contained stellar energy. Up close, each scale truly did contain a tiny galaxy, stars birthing, living, dying in accelerated cycles. "You're beautiful," he whispered as he wrapped the first foot. "Terrifying, yes, but beautiful." The dragon rumbled, something softer than a threat, almost a purr. Cole wrapped the second foot, then the third. By the time he reached the fourth, the cub had laid down completely, its massive head resting near his knee, eyes half-lidded in exhausted trust. "The chains," Cole said, not looking away from the dragon. "They need to come off. All of them. If removed, it will attack," Velcros warned, staff raised. "It's in the nature of void dragons." Cole looked at the dragon, meeting those nebula eyes. "No, it won't." He reached for the first chain lock. It was bio-encrypted, designed to respond only to Draren royal blood. DNA signatures laced with quantum markers. Touch from any other species should have triggered a defense mechanism, neural feedback that burned fingers to ash. Instead, it opened with a soft, musical click that echoed through the silent arena. The chain fell away with a clatter. The scale underneath pulsed with renewed light. Stars igniting in chains, galaxies spinning faster, as if time itself accelerated. "Impossible," Therian breathed, stepping closer. Cole reached for the second lock. It opened, then the third, then the fourth, each with the same soft click. "The locks are keyed to reject any non-royal touch." The herald's voice cracked over the speakers. "This defies all known." "He's not using force," Zaraketh whispered, leaning so far over the railing her chain strained. "Look at his hands. Between his knuckles and the tech, the air is shimmering." Between Cole's scarred knuckles and the alien technology, the air indeed shimmered with interference patterns. Human bioelectric fields, subtle electromagnetic pulses generated by nervous systems, the same signals that allowed humans to form cross-species bonds with Earth animals, were finding resonance with Draren encryption, a frequency match no one had anticipated. The fourth chain fell with a final clatter. The dragon cub stood slowly, testing its legs with tentative steps. It stretched its wings fully for the first time. 30 feet of membrane spanned, and within those translucent wings shone entire stellar systems, constellations wheeling in slow, majestic patterns. The crowd held its collective breath, waiting for the inevitable attack. The dragon turned its head to Cole and rumbled low. Then it lowered its massive head and touched its nose to Cole's forehead, gentle as a breeze. Light exploded through the arena, not harsh, but the gentle luminescence of distant stars at dawn. For a moment, everyone watching saw what the dragon saw through their shared vision. Cole Brennan surrounded by an aura of bioelectric resonance that looked like the aurora borealis given human form. They saw his memories in vivid detail. The colony burning under Draren bombardment. Children carried through walls of flame. 3 years of maintenance work keeping broken Imperial systems running while his own heart remained shattered and numb. They saw his scars and understood, viscerally, that pain hadn't made him cruel. It had made him gentle with broken things. The light faded slowly, like a nebula dispersing. The dragon cub stepped back and sat beside Cole, its tail curling protectively around his legs. King Therian descended the final steps into the arena, his storm cloud skin seeming paler. In 10,000 years of Draren rule, no one has ever opened those locks without royal blood. "Maybe," Cole said, standing but keeping one hand on the dragon's neck. "You've been using the wrong test all along. You've been treating it like a weapon to be broken. What if what it needed wasn't someone stronger, but someone who understood what it felt like to be terrified and hurting and alone?" "He's right, Father," Zaraketh said, her voice carrying from a box. "We never asked what the dragon needed. We only demanded what we wanted from it." Therian looked at his daughter for a long moment, then back at Cole, then at the dragon sitting peacefully with wrapped feet and fallen chains scattered like discarded history. "You have calmed the dragon where 17 champions failed." The king said finally, "By my own wager, you are owed a request. Name it." Cole hadn't thought beyond the moment. The words came unbidden. "I want to stay with the dragon, to help it learn, to grow, to make sure it's never chained like that again. Not as a servant, as a friend, if it want one." "You would ask to remain in servitude?" Therian asked, brow ridges rising. The dragon pressed its head against Cole's side, rumbling a deep affirmation that vibrated through his ribs. Therian raised his voice to address the arena. "The trial is complete. The human has calmed the dragon where champions failed. Cole Brennan, human mechanic. You are hereby appointed dragon keeper of the royal line. This dragon shall not be broken to the Empire's service. Instead, it shall be bonded voluntarily to the one who showed it mercy. Let this be the first decree of a new era. 3 days after the trial, Cole discovered the truth in the palace archives. He'd been given quarters in the royal wing, Spartan but luxurious compared to the human barracks. The dragon cub refused to leave his side, curling up on a pile of thermal blankets Cole had scavenged. But sleep eluded him. At midnight, he accessed a restricted information terminal, fingers flying over holographic keys as he searched stellar serpents. The file opened with stark red text, category, extinct. 500 years ago, the Dreran Empire had decided that creatures of such cosmic power either served or ceased to exist. They hunted the stellar serpents across systems, killing adults in spectacular void battles, taking eggs from hidden nebula nurseries. The last wild stellar serpent had been killed 3 years ago, defending its single offspring. That cub had been captured, drugged, and brought to Drora for the trial of Dominion. Cole looked at the dragon sleeping in the corner, its wrapped feet twitching in dreams. "Hey, wake up, little one." The cub's eyes opened, swirling galaxies focusing on him. It patted over, nuzzling his hand. "Your parent died 3 years ago," Cole whispered. "Defending you. I'm so sorry." The dragon rumbled a sound of sad harmonics, a chord that made Cole's eyes sting. It had known, had always known it was alone. Cole dug deeper into the archives. Another file. Human-animal bonding patterns and electromagnetic resonance theory. Humans had evolved alongside animals on Earth, developing unique abilities to form cross-species bonds using subtle bioelectric signals, heartbeat rhythms, neural pulses, pheromone cues. The file included a buried footnote. Stellar serpent eggs respond to low-frequency electromagnetic pulses similar to human biorhythms. All human-dragon contact has been strictly prevented by imperial decree. "They kept us apart," Cole whispered to the dragon. "Not because it wouldn't work, because they were afraid it would." The dragon pressed its head against his chest, right over his heart, as if listening to the rhythm that had unlocked its chains. A soft sound made him turn. Princess Zaraketh stood in the doorway, clad in simple green robes instead of her ceremonial chains. "I couldn't sleep either. May I come in?" Cole nodded. She entered gracefully, sitting cross-legged near them. "I've been reading the same files," she said, "about what we did to the stellar serpents. The genocide. Do you know why my father created the trial of Dominion?" Cole shook his head. "To find me a husband who'd proven themselves willing to break something beautiful for power. He was testing for cruelty, the kind that would ensure the Empire's survival. And I failed his test completely," Cole said with a faint smile. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. King Therian entered, his presence filling the room like a storm front. "I thought I might find you conspiring." Cole tensed, but Therian raised a hand. "I'm not here to threaten. I've been reading the same files, and I've made a decision." He approached slowly, then, to everyone's shock, knelt before the dragon cub. 500 years ago, my ancestor ordered the genocide of the stellar serpents because he feared their power. But it was just fear of something greater than himself. He looked up at Cole. "You showed me that strength can look like mercy. That power can choose gentleness over dominance." He stood, resolution hardening his features. "So I'm making a new law. The trial of Dominion is ended. Permanently. No more dragons will be broken. This dragon will be the first of a new tradition. Not a weapon, but a symbol of what we can become. You, Cole Brennan, will teach what you know to Drorans, to humans, to anyone who wishes to learn." The dragon cub spoke then. Its voice was harmonic resonance that bypassed ears and spoke directly to the bones. "Valia, that was my name before the chains. My mother gave it to me when the stars were young." Images flooded their minds, vast nebulas swirling with newborn stars. A massive stellar serpent protecting entire worlds with its wings. Then darkness, imperial ships descending like locusts, the parent dragon fighting, dying in a blaze of stellar fire to protect its egg. "You gave me back my voice," Valia continued. "You remembered I was someone, not something. So I give you my name, Cole Brennan. In my language, that means you're mine, and I'm yours until the stars themselves die. A true bonding, Therian said with awe, his voice thick. Valia stepped forward and touched her nose to Therian's forehead. Light pulsed gently. When it faded, the king stood stunned, eyes wide with visions he'd never imagined. "You showed me what my ancestor destroyed," he whispered. "Not an empire, a symphony." He looked at Cole. "Thank you for being human, in all the ways we've forgotten to value." Valia sang then, a sound that transformed Cole's name into starlight made audible. Star tender, heart reader, friend to the lost. 6 months later, Cole stood in the same arena, but everything had changed. The chains had been melted down and reformed into a monument, a sculpture of dragon and human reaching toward each other, wings and hands entwined. The blood stains had been scrubbed away with industrial solvents until the pit floor gleamed. The tiers now held students instead of spectators, humans in coveralls, Drorans in flowing robes, all learning together. Cole called to a young Dreran warrior, struggling with a plasma stabilizer. "Gentle pressure. You're not forcing it. You're listening to what it needs." This was a new academy. Therian's revolution made real, brick by brick, lesson by lesson. Above them, Valia flew. She'd grown to twice her original size, wings now spanning 100 feet, each scale blazing with mature stellar light. She chose every day to return to the academy, because now it meant something different. Partnership, not captivity. Children, human and Dreran, clustered near the monument, drawing pictures of what had once been pain transformed into hope. "Is it true Valia can hear the stars singing?" asked a human child with wide eyes. "It is," Cole said, ruffling the kid's hair. "And sometimes when we're flying high enough, I can almost hear it too." Princess Zaraketh approached, carrying data pads. 3 more worlds have requested to send students to the academy. They're calling you a hero back on Earth, you know? "I'm not a hero," Cole said. "I just dropped into an arena with a wrench to save someone I'd never met." "You just challenged 10,000 years of imperial tradition," Zaraketh countered with smile. Valia descended then, landing with impossible grace for her size. She projected a memory into their minds. A night sky filled not with one dragon, but dozens of species flying together in coordinated patterns that looked like music made visible, harmonies of light and motion. "This is what could be," she said. "Not empire, not conquest, a symphony of choices." The children cheered. King Therian appeared at the edge of the pit, looking older, lines etched deeper around his eyes. "Cole, I've received word from the outer colonies. 3 systems have declared independence. They cite the ending of the trials as proof the empire is weakening." "Are you weakening?" Cole asked. "Yes," Therian said with a wry smile. "And that's as it should be. An empire built on force alone was always going to crumble eventually." He gestured to the students working together. "But every person who learns cooperation here is a seed planted for something stronger." "Father," Zaraketh said, stepping forward, "when you step down, I won't take the throne as empress. I'll lead as a representative, the first democratically elected leader of what we're calling Confederation of Choice." Therian absorbed this in silence, then laughed, a deep, genuine sound that echoed to the arena. A mechanic? A single human mechanic undid 10,000 years of imperial tradition. Valia spread her wings wide, starlight cascading from her scales. "Then we fly," she said. "We fly so high and bright that everyone who looks up sees what's possible." She lowered her head invitingly. Cole climbed onto her back, settling between her shoulder blades. Zaraketh joined him, her green skin glowing in the sunlight. Therian watched from the ground, his eyes holding something that looked like hope. "Thank you." The king called as Valia prepared to launch, for teaching an old conqueror that surrender can look like wisdom. Valia pushed off with powerful legs, wings beating the air into submission. They rose above the city, above the obsidian towers, learning together what it meant to be something new. The twin suns painted the sky in impossible colors, crimson, violet, gold, as they flew into a future none of them had imagined 6 months ago. 1 year after the trials ended, the first human-dragon bonding ceremonies were held on 7 different worlds. Valia's song had spread across communication networks, carried by subspace relays. You are someone, not something. 2 years after, the Confederation of Choice held its first democratic elections. Zaraketh won by a landslide, her platform built entirely on cooperation instead of dominion. Therian attended her inauguration in the rebuilt arena and wept openly when she referenced the mechanic who taught us all that mercy was the truest strength. 3 years after, the first stellar serpent egg in 5 centuries was discovered in a hidden nebula nursery. It was brought to the Academy under heavy guard. Cole and Valia waited in the hatching chamber as the shell cracked. When the cub emerged, slick with cosmic fluid, it sang its first word in harmonic resonance. Friend. 5 years after the trial, the Academy had expanded to 14 worlds. Human students learned alien technologies, quantum fold drives, neural interfaces, bioluminescent engineering. Dreran students learned human-animal bonding techniques, empathy training, bioelectric resonance, trust exercises with everything from Earth dogs to alien avians. And the dragons, there were 12 now, all hatched from rescued eggs, taught everyone the song of the stars, a melody that harmonized with every species' capacity for wonder. Cole stood in the original arena on the 6th anniversary of the Day of Choice. Older now, his hair shot through with gray from stress and starlight exposure. Valia waited beside him, fully grown and magnificent beyond words. She was large enough to carry a dozen riders comfortably, her wings spanning 200 feet, each scale a living galaxy. The arena was packed. Thousands had come to commemorate the moment that changed everything. The monument gleamed in the twin sunlight. "They want you to speak," Zaraketh said, now Chancellor of the Confederation, her green skin adorned with simple silver insignia instead of golden chains. "I'm not good at speeches," Cole protested. "Then don't make a speech," she said. "Just tell them what you told the dragon." Cole stepped to the center of the pit. The crowd fell silent, a hush that spread like ripples in still water. 6 years ago, he began, his voice carried without amplification, I was nobody, just a mechanic trying not to feel anything, because feeling hurt too much. I'd lost my world, my purpose, most of myself. Then I heard a child screaming in chains, and I had a choice. I could walk away, stay safe, stay numb, or I could try to stop one creature's pain, even if it cost me everything. He paused, looking around to see of faces, human, Dreran, and a dozen other species. I'm not a hero. I was just tired of being hollow, tired of pretending that cruelty was inevitable or that power required someone else to suffer for it. So I did something small. I knelt down. I wrapped bleeding feet. I looked into terrified eyes and said, I see you. The crowd was utterly still. And it turns out that's all it ever takes. Seeing beings instead of things. Choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier. Choosing to kneel beside suffering instead of walking past it. He gestured to the monument. Those chains were real. The pain was real. The blood was real. But they're gone now, remade into a symbol of connection, of reaching out instead of striking down. He looked up at the tears, meeting eyes across species. Every one of you has the same choice, every single day. You can walk past suffering, or you can kneel beside it. You can build power through fear, or you can build something better through partnership. Valia spread her wings then, and starlight cascaded through the arena like a waterfall of constellations. The dragons aren't gone, Cole continued. They're coming back, not as weapons, but as partners. And they're teaching us that the universe is wide enough for everyone to sing their own song in their own voice. He smiled, the expression softening the lines of his face. So that's what I want you to remember. Not that a mechanic did something impossible, but that every day, in small ways and large, you have the power to choose kindness, to choose to see, to choose to kneel beside suffering instead of walking past it, because that's how galaxies change, one act of dignity at a time. The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't need to. The understanding that rippled through them was deeper than applause, a recognition, a shared commitment. Valia sang then. Her voice carried across networks to every connected world, harmonics that resonated with every species' capacity for empathy. It had no words, just pure emotion. You are seen. You are someone. You are enough. Later that night, Cole and Valia flew alone into the nebula beyond Drora's atmosphere. They rose higher than orbital stations, into the void where stars sang unfiltered, their light unbent by gravity or atmosphere. Are you happy? Cole asked through their bond, the question forming as thought and emotion. I am free, Veli replied. I am chosen. I am loved. What else could I need? Your parent, Cole said. Your people. Everything the Empire took from you. Veli was quiet for a long moment, then projected an image into his mind. The 12 young dragons learning to fly in formation over the academy. The tiers full of students from a dozen worlds, laughing together. The Confederation growing. Worlds choosing cooperation over conquest. They took the past, she said, but you gave me a future. We're building something my parent would have loved. A universe where no one is chained. That's everything. They floated together in the silence of space, watching stars being born in distant nebulas, gas and dust collapsing into fusion, light blooming where darkness had reigned. What happens next? Cole asked. We keep flying. We keep teaching. We keep showing them what's possible. And maybe, in 1,000 years, when species look back at this moment, they'll remember not the empire that fell, but the friendship that rose. Not the chains that broke, but the bonds we chose. She paused, wings adjusting to catch solar wind. They'll remember that once, a single human with scarred hands heard a dragon screaming and refused to look away. And in that refusal, galaxies learned to sing together. Cole smiled, patting her neck. No pressure, then. You've carried it well so far, Star Tender. They turned together and flew back toward Drora. Below them, the city lights were coming on one by one, each light representing a choice, a connection, a being choosing to see another truly. In a universe built on arrogance and conquest, sometimes a single act of dignity is enough to shift the stars themselves. Sometimes all it takes is refusing to accept that pain and power must go hand in hand. And sometimes, just sometimes, when Mechanic and a dragon teach the galaxy to sing, the music lasts long enough for the stars themselves to remember how harmony feels. They flew into the night, carrying the message that every being deserves to be seen, that every voice deserves to be heard, and that the greatest empires will be the ones where freedom meant something more than the absence of chains. It meant the presence of wings,